Want to know an epic place you never thought to travel, but should? This is no tourist destination. It is a traveler's paradise. Hi guys, I recently took a trip around Tunisia, and in this video I'll be sharing with you things you should know about traveling to Tunisia for 1 week, including highlights on where to go, what to do, how to get around, and other useful tips I learned along the way. While most tourists flock to Egypt or Morocco, Tunisia stands untouched by mass tourism. This may be a small country in North Africa, but the amount of vastly different landscapes and ancient history prime it as an exciting, underrated destination. From the beautiful Mediterranean coastal beaches to the desert dunes and arid mountains, you can explore the country in just a few days. The country itself is not difficult to travel, to find accommodation, or get transportation. All the necessary infrastructures are available. So in total, I spent almost 3 weeks in Tunisia, but the road trip only took less than a week. So this itinerary is like a 7-day guide. However, if you do have more time to extend, then I recommend that you stay in the capital Tunis longer, so you have extra days to walk around the city and see more. Overall, planning a trip to Tunisia is pretty straightforward. We start our trip arriving at Tunis-Carthage International Airport in the capital, Tunis. You'll have no issues getting through immigration unless you do what I did and you bring a drone. So, side note, do not bring a drone into Tunisia because there's absolutely no way they will allow you to have it in the country. In order to have a drone, you have to apply for a permit, which has to go through 2 to 3 different bodies of government, which makes it near impossible to obtain this permit. I clearly didn't do my research beforehand, plus I was flying in from a different place and I already had my drone. After the whole drone thing, getting through the airport and out to the taxi stands is a breeze. It's a small airport and connects to many other major European cities and throughout the Middle East. Tunis is the capital and pretty small and compact. You could even explore most of the city on foot. There are countless streets and avenues with various restaurants and cuisines. If you're looking for hotels, the majority of the 3, 4, or 5-star hotels can be found around and close by the Medina in downtown Tunis. The hotels range between $100 to $400 a night, so if you're looking for a more budgeted stay, you can also look into Airbnbs. Quick thing about Airbnbs. Lately, I've been hearing a lot and reading a lot more about the price of Airbnbs and how expensive they are, that they can pretty much compromise your budget. I know it's true in some cities, but in Tunis, it's pretty affordable. We were able to find a beautiful 3-story Airbnb with a rooftop terrace in Sidi Bou Said. Sidi Bou Said is a small town overlooking the Mediterranean right next to Tunis. I stayed in a private room with a bathroom for $40 a night, and even though it was a shared space, I ran into one other guest only once during my entire week stay there. So this is our neighborhood that we are staying in for the week here in Tunis. Sidi Bou Said, thanks to Katie, she got us the Airbnb. Yay! We're back in Tunis! So public transport was a little bit difficult for me because I don't speak Arabic or French and there were no signs in English. There is a tram line, a bus system, and another form of public transport called luage, which are large vans with fixed lines. The locals use luages because they travel fast, but the difficulty is they have no fixed departure times, and as soon as they are full, they set off. There are no ride-hailing apps, but the best way to get around is to take a taxi. They are very inexpensive and have a meter. One thing to note about taxis, whenever you get into a taxi, always be advised that the meter has started and that they're using the meter, especially as soon as you arrive at the airport. On the other hand, if you're ready to brave the roads of Tunisia and outer cities, you can rent a car. If you do, rent from a franchised company. Renting a car is the most efficient way to see the country. There is public transportation to the cities outside of Tunis that I'll be talking about later. But it could take weeks, and just to maximize your time the most efficiently, I recommend that you either rent a car or hire a personal driver. So next I'll go over a list of highlights that you can see in Tunis in a day or two. You could even make it a weekend getaway if you like. I wasn't able to make it to all of them, so please, everyone that is watching, I would be delighted if you commented below places that you think everyone else watching would be worthwhile to visit in Tunis. So day one in Tunis, you can start your day off going to the Bardo Museum. While I wasn't able to visit the Bardo Museum, this is a treasury of ancient mosaic art.
Next up, we have the Old Medina. Take a walk to downtown Tunis, passing restaurants, shops, and open street cafes.
We just took this shuttle bus system from her place, from her apartment, into the downtown of Tunis. So we're walking through downtown to head to the Medina.
As you come closer to the entrance of the Medina, you can check out the Cathedral of St. Vincent de Paul, built in 1893. Walk a little further down and arrive at the last standing piece of the wall, the entrance gate to the Medina Bab el Bar. Then enter the Medina and embrace winding alleyways of the souks. Haggling rules do apply here. When you get hungry for local Tunisian food, I challenge you to find the restaurant Fondouk El Atarin and order the fish and couscous.
Katie has been leading me all through these alleyways, and we walked into this beautiful restaurant. It's very relaxing, there's nice music. The menus seem to always be some sort of easel like this, so they bring the easel over to you. They keep the easel here for a while and you choose what you want. So we've got tuna here. What's that?
Radishes.
Oh, I love radishes. So somewhere in here is a runny yolk. I'm waiting for it to burst. And it just burst. Next up is the fish soup. Gotta always add some lemon. And the main course, couscous and fish. Hey Katie, you're absolutely right. This is the best couscous I've ever had.
While you're downtown, you can also check out the market, which was my personal favorite in Tunis. I loved walking around the vegetable stands and most definitely hearing the chaos of the vendors selling freshly caught seafood of the day. We took a wonderful 3-hour tour of downtown Tunis with a man named Hatem, which I recommend you do for yourself because it's worthwhile to have a local guide escorting you around downtown Tunis. He took us into buildings and areas that I would have never walked into on my own. He was so full of knowledge and passionate about Tunisia culture and history. For you history lovers, check out the Carthage ruins smack dab in the middle of neighborhoods. The ancient city of Carthage was the most powerful civilization until it was destroyed and taken over by the Romans. It's a long and exciting history that's worth the trip to see the scanty ruins still standing. Lastly, while you're in Tunis, you must visit Sidi Bou Said. It's a beautiful blue and white themed town located on a steep cliff overlooking sparkling blue views of the Mediterranean coast. I recommend getting here before sunset to take a stroll around the cobblestone streets and gawk at the elaborate front doors of the homes. While you're here, you must try a bamboloni, this delicious sugary fried donut-like twist.
All right, now I'm going to talk about the cities we visited outside of Tunis on our road trip. There are plenty of cities and areas to go explore around Tunisia. You could spend weeks traveling around the country, but this video is going to focus on cities south of Tunis.
Now it's time to hire a car, as the remainder of this Tunisia itinerary cannot be done without one. Tunisia is not difficult to drive, it's just Tunis that's a bit hectic. Granted, I didn't do any of the driving, so shout out to my friend Kevin who drove the entire time. We set off from Tunis at 8 a.m. driving south on our road trip. Our first stop was an old Berber village that sits atop a hill called Takrouna. This is an easy pit stop off the main highway and takes about 10 to 15 minutes to walk around and maybe have a coffee. Our next stop was Kairouan. Kairouan is the fourth most holy city of Islam and is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. If you have a general interest in history, culture, and architecture, which I would imagine you do, Kairouan is a fascinating place. We walked around the Medina while Katie was on a mission for a Tunisian rug, so we were led by one seller after the other down the maze of alleyways into a traditional rug shop, which was incredible.
So we are being led down all of the alleyways to this this place that we would have never realized is actually selling carpets, because Katie is looking for a carpet. Aslam!
Aslama.
This is amazing. I didn't even look up. Okay, look up. You gotta look up. One more thing we needed to get before leaving Kairouan was our crucial road trip essential. This mouth-watering honey-soaked cookie is everything. We left Kairouan and made our way to Tozeur Oasis, where we would be staying for 2 nights and making day trips out from there. We booked a dormitory room for the 4 of us at a hotel called Djerba.
We just arrived at our hotel in Tozeur, Tunisia, and we are the only 4 people at this entire hotel.
Look, we have this entire place to ourselves. Entire hotel to ourselves. This is our room we're staying in. It's kind of like a quad dormitory. It's got a very Star Wars-esque feel to it. And you got these space Star Wars looking doors.
We are experiencing some serious luxury this morning. And I don't mean like expensive, fine things, luxurious travel, luxurious. I'm talking we're the only people at this hotel and we have so much privacy and alone time and quiet space. Here, this is what we're looking at, by the way. This is what we're looking at while we're eating breakfast right now. Only people in the hotel. How many times have I said that? So it looks like we're on the edge of the oasis on this side. Zoom in, and if you can see the other side of the oasis right there.
The next morning, we headed to the oasis in the mountains, Chebika.
We just arrived at the Chebika oasis. We are getting started on the hike out.
There are also a few hikes out into the mountains, but we took it easy and leisurely walked around the oasis.
Today is really all about Star Wars nostalgia because we are going to the filming locations and the sets of one of the first, of A New Hope, the very first Star Wars film that ever came out.
We went back to Djerba during the afternoon to wait for it to cool down before we headed to the next site. Some of you watching may be more familiar with the planet Tatooine than the country Tunisia, but actually they are the same place.
I'm walking through the Star Wars set. You know what's funny? I love how it's basically a Berber village look-alike, and then to make it Star Warsy, you just add space-looking thingies.
The next day, we drove through the Chbodd salt flats and arrived in Matmata. Matmata is known for the Berber communities that live in underground caves to escape the heat.
We just walked into our guest house and it is a cave.
The next day, it was time to say goodbye to our road trip buddies. They dropped us off at the bus station in Gabes, and Katie and I took a bus from there to a ferry port on our way to Djerba Island.
Okay, we're in a mad rush right now. We gotta make the bus because it's a half hour early and they're leaving now. And they don't wanna wait. So we gotta go. We gotta go. Okay. Bye. Wait, where's Katie? Where'd she go? Oh my goodness. Gotta make it. All right. Oh my God, it's such a good thing that we came a half hour early because they're leaving a half hour early. Alright, we made it. We're good. 10:30 departure. What time is it? It is 10:11. Alright. That is a first for a bus leaving that early. Well, it's only 2 hours to Djerba. Okay, we'll see you soon. Bye.
The bus has now driven onto a ferry because we're taking a ferry across to the island. So we're gonna see if we can get off and walk around. We just got in a taxi and driving through the downtown area of Djerba Island right now. It's really pronounced Djerba. Katie's handling all the Airbnb logistics and accommodations and all that stuff because she speaks the language. It's so much easier traveling around this country when you have someone that speaks Arabic. Djerba is known for its white beaches and turquoise waters. It's a special place because it's also known as a mainstay of coexistence. The island is home to the last Tunisian Jews with one of the largest and oldest Jewish populations, and the oldest synagogue in Africa. Another fun fact is, in Homer's Odyssey, this island was known as the land of the lotus eaters. We stayed in an Airbnb in a quiet neighborhood called Riyadh, where vibrant mural paintings are everywhere. I admit we spent more time in the Airbnb than we did outside of it. It was the most beautiful Mediterranean villa with not one but 2 dipping pools, 4 separate rooms with bathrooms, and the ever-present aroma of honeysuckles growing all over the open spaces.
Katie and I never want to leave this villa. We don't want to leave. We came to this island. There's a beach out there, there's a lot of fun things to do out there, and we are just happy not leaving the walls of this villa. I'm probably gonna go shopping in just a bit after we eat breakfast. This breakfast, by the way, was made by Fatima, who was the woman that let us in yesterday.
In Djerba, I also ventured out to the souks to do a little shopping and haggling for my share of personal souvenirs.
All right, so I'm leaving our villa and I'm gonna go out and walk around the souk area and the Medina area here on Djerba. Katie is gonna stay back and she's got a lot of work to do this afternoon, and so do I, but I'm going to go out just for a little bit, do a little bit of shopping, and then come back to our villa because there's really nothing better than this beautiful villa we have all to ourselves. So we just haggled for like the last hour maybe. Going back and forth with this man, and he finally got my price. We got it. He priced me at like the highest price point you could ever imagine, and I was like, that's not happening. You are very difficult. Haggling and bargaining can be very, very like tensious. I said, I have done this before. We did it. Woo! And the bargaining process being difficult is a good thing. And another one bites the dust. Just kidding. We just haggled and we got a good price. Well, I got a good price, and he had a little trouble with me, but he agreed anyway. Haggling is it's a fun process, it's a tedious process. It's a little bit awkward at first if you haven't bargained before. It can be, you know, if you're not like a little bit aggressive and a little bit pushy, then you might back down and just get that like really high price. So anyway, this is haggling in Tunisia. All right, cool, yay, woo!
We stayed in Djerba for a total of 3 nights. It was so peaceful, and we had nailed down our routine of going to the market every day, taking strolls to admire the mural paintings, and just relaxing as much as we could while we were also working.
This is a really special night for us though, because the owners of this villa came and they had a Ramadan dinner, and we've just been upstairs working. But they were so kind because they cooked so much food, and they told us that they really wanted us to try, well, not knowing Katie has been living here, but they really wanted me to try the Tunisian food. And of course, the best couscous in the world is here in Tunisia. And they have prepared a little poolside dinner for us. They cooked so much food, so they were like, we want to share it with you. So this is Katie and my last night here in Djerba, and we're spending it having our own little special romantic Ramadan dinner cooked by Fatima. which has been the woman that has been kind of caretaking around this place. So looks kind of new. Looks like I haven't tried some of this stuff yet. There is mounds of couscous on this. Carrots, looks like some sauteed green leafy stuff. And then of course you got the beautiful fluffiness, most delicious, perfected Tunisian couscous right here. And I know not to eat couscous with a fork now. Thank you to all of the comments that I read to my video. I am not going to be eating couscous with a fork ever again. Time to eat.
On day 8 of our trip, instead of driving the 6 hours back to Tunis, we took an early flight from the airport in Djerba. The airport is so small in Djerba it only has one waiting room, and the flight back was less than an hour. We ended up reserving the same Airbnb in Sidi Bou Said for our last night in Tunis.
The currency is called the Tunisian dinar. I recommend going to Tunisia with a bunch of cash to start out and exchanging your cash. Personally, I don't travel with cash unless I absolutely have to. And so when I got into Tunisia, I didn't have that much. And getting cash out of the ATMs was pretty challenging. There was a time I had to try 5 different ATMs to get the equivalent of like 150 US dollars. So it's always good to have some cash on hand ready to exchange just in case anything like that happens. In terms of clothing and what you should wear. So Tunisia is a Muslim country, and I will always recommend respecting the local traditions, the local customs, and the religion. So while Tunisia is not very strict about showing skin, I will still recommend that women, that you dress modestly. Always have something to cover your shoulders just in case. There were days where I was wearing a thicker tank top, but I was always carrying something around, like a shawl or something, just to cover myself. If you are a female traveler with no male companion, then you may experience catcalls or constant stares. In general, as a solo female traveler, I recommend that you wear a gold ring. This is a silver ring, but yeah, a gold ring on your ring finger. Make it look like you're married to avoid unwanted attention. That doesn't necessarily mean the catcalls and the stares are gonna stop. That's everywhere in the world. I don't know why men keep trying it. It's never gonna work, and they're gonna keep trying. So just ignore the catcalls and the possible remarks. Okay, so this seems like an obvious thing to do, but I feel like I have to say it anyway. Eat the food. Eat all the food you can possibly get. Go out to a restaurant, ask the server what's the best Tunisian dish in the restaurant to order. I had some of the best couscous I've ever had in my entire life. I've said this so many times to people when I got back from Tunisia. The seafood is always fresh. They have great mint juices, kebabs, salads, refreshing mint teas, lots of French bread, even local wine. Yes, it is a Muslim country, but they do serve alcohol. I must say though that the best Tunisian food is home cooked because it takes hours and hours to prepare. It's very laborious. So if you do happen to know a local Tunisian, then try and worm your way into having a home cooked dinner at their house. One last thing about the food, it typically comes with this amazing chili paste red sauce called harissa. If you are not inclined to eating spicy food, at least order it on the side and try it. I added so much harissa in all of my sandwiches and kebabs that I had that the servers had to ask me if I was certain I wanted all of it. So I even brought some home. This is a country of haggling. So if you go shopping in the souks or the markets, always negotiate the price down. As a visitor, you should always be wary that you'll be priced at the rate of being taken advantage of. I would start with haggling half the price. As you saw in the video earlier, I'm a little bit difficult when it comes to haggling, which means I stick to my guns. That wasn't the right way to say it as an American. I meant, which means that I don't back down. A little bit more general travel advice is just always know where you're going. While exploring souks or neighborhoods or any part of the cities in Tunisia, you might be approached by people who try to act like your friend, who want to show you around, who want to help you. They're often looking for a tip to show you their shop. So just smile, walk past them, and look like you know where you're going, or just know where you're going. Hey, thank you for joining me on another adventure, all of you who are watching, especially all of you people in Tunisia. I had such such an amazing time in the country. It was epic. For everyone else who's watching, I hope that I've inspired you to maybe think about going to Tunisia one day. Comment below what you guys thought. Comment below any other awesome comments that you have about this country, about traveling around Tunisia. You can start a conversation with me below. I always respond to the comments, unless they're not nice. Okay, I'll see you guys later.